Welcome to this new Motorsport Talk series with Motorsport Engineer. Motorsport Engineer is a platform for engineers and professionals who want to learn directly from the best industry professionals. We do this by publishing our own online courses and running webinars with the relevant suppliers from within motorsport. Today, we have Javier Sistiaga, previously a vehicle dynamics and chassis development engineer with experience in both motorsport and automotive. How are you doing, Javi?
I'm good. Really happy to be here, Charlie.
Perfect. So, Javi, I look forward to getting to know the steps that you've taken to get to where you are today. But before we do that, who is Javier Sistiaga and what are your origins?
I would describe myself as an engineer. So I would say that I'm an engineer. And talking a bit about the origins and how all started. So I'm from Barcelona, born in Barcelona, raised in Barcelona. Great city, by the way. I know that you already know the city, Charlie, but everyone should come visit it at least once. And yeah, I think since I was born, I've had this mentality, like engineering, like mentality. I was curious, like analyzing stuff. Always loved everything that had wheels, like well, in my case, was especially motorbikes, bicycles, but also cars, all this kind of thing. So I think this was a bit how everything started and how I was like from the very beginning, I was already facing towards an engineering path.
Perfect. So an engineer through and through right from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. I would say so. Yeah, I would say so.
Awesome. So Javi, you initially studied at two universities, one in Spain and one in the UK. I think this is sometimes quite a common path in motorsport, but often not the case as well. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about each? How was the experience? What projects did you work on? Would you recommend it? And to begin with, I think let's start in Spain, where it all began at UPC.
Yeah, so I started engineering in Spain at the UPC in Barcelona. I did what it was the old program in Spain that is called industrial engineering. So it's like it gives you a bit of a broader, let's say, knowledge. So we were doing things like mechanics, but also electronics, control systems, and all this kind of stuff. And it's a 5-year degree. And in there, I specialized in mechanics. So it was where I got my specialization, and I remember it as some really great times. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a bit of a confirmation that I wanted to be an engineer. It was not like, okay, I have this mentality, I'm curious, but I also liked it a lot, and it was like, okay, I want to make a career out of this. And it was, yeah, it was really great. I had a good time. It was tough. Let's say the part that you had to study a lot because it's a difficult career, but I liked it. And I worked in lots of projects that I enjoyed a lot. I would say that in the two things that for me were the best ones were I was an intern for 1 year in the mechanical engineering department of the university. That was a great experience. And also a bit of a side project. Let's say I was involved in the motor student competition at the university.
Awesome. So you mentioned Motor Student. Would you be able to expand a little there and tell us about the competition, perhaps, and your specific role within the team? I know a lot of people did Formula Student or FSAE, but Motor Student is something that's maybe not as widely known, but it sounds like a really interesting competition.
Yeah, exactly. As you're saying, I think that Formula Student is something that is quite well known. Like different, so you're part of a team in the university. You build your own car. Well, you design, you build the car. You do go on the competition. Let's say with the team, and you compete against different universities. So Motor Student is a similar idea. Let's say it's the same, but with a motorbike. So you have to develop, to design, and to build your own motorbike. In here, the limitation, let's say that you have is that the engine is a given engine that they give to you. Well, I think at my time it was engine. Now they have like two, like engine and motor, so they have the electric one also. But I was part of the competition with the internal combustion engine. And yeah, so you develop your own racing bike, and then you compete against different universities. And it was for me, it was a lifetime experience. It was really incredible. I still get goosebumps when I talk about it. And so I still remember the, let's say, the feeling that I got when I first saw the motorbike that we designed with in this case our rider was a 12-year-old um rider. And I saw it like it was in Aragon in Motorland, going on the straight at, I don't know, 160, 180 kilometers per hour. It was an incredible experience, and what made me decide a bit going towards this motorsport path. So it was really good. And my role there, so I was the team leader, and I was also, so my main goal, let's say, within the team was on the suspension development side, but also because it was, I mean, I think that now it's getting more professional, but when we were doing it, that was, I think it was 2012, so 10 years ago. We had to build a bike almost from scratch in 1.5 years. So in the end, even if that was my supposed to be task, we were doing a bit of everything, everyone helping out each other. But yeah, in the end, it was a great experience. We even won the competition. That was awesome. And that was a bit what I said, okay, I don't only want to be an engineer, but this motorsport path, this is what I want to pursue.
Oh, it sounds brilliant. And as I say, by the time you come to the end of your sort of time at UPC, you've done so much. And I think this is a good message for everyone is that, Javi identified engineering as something that he thought he would like to do, but without going to university perhaps and, getting involved with these different projects, you don't know for sure that this is what you want to sort of dedicate your life to. So I think to get involved and to do as much as you can at university is definitely worthwhile because, of course, it's going to be a long commitment if you pursue this as a career. No, that sounds brilliant and congratulations. It sounds like a very successful competition.
It was.
I hope no one got injured in the process as well.
No. Like no, it was yeah. When you get there and you see because these motorbikes are small. I don't know if you are familiar with the MotoGP championship, let's say, but in there you have different categories, and the smaller bikes, these 250cc bikes, they are ridden by yeah the kids have 12, 13 years old and you see this kid jumping on the bike that you just designed and you're like, what if I like the calculation was not done properly, these kind of things. But no, you have some safety tests that are done before just in case and everything went really, really smooth and everything was safe.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear. So, Javi, that was your time in Spain, but of course, you went over to the UK and to Oxford Brookes, and this is sometimes what people consider quite a common path to go to the UK and study motorsport engineering at the university. So, tell us about your UK experience. Maybe the weather wasn't quite as good as Spain, but hopefully the projects and the industry links were helpful. And would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you want to pursue a career in motorsports. And for me, I think it was key to get the knowledge, let's say, that I later have been using in my career, or because I got also part of this career. And not only this, but also on the personal side, it was a really good experience because I was born in Barcelona, went to university, like went to school at Barcelona, went to university at Barcelona. So I was like, say, my comfort zone. And in there, I had to step out a bit of this comfort zone, go to live abroad, which was, yeah, gives you some respect in the beginning, but it was a great experience. Also, you meet and you get to work with people from all around the world. So on the personal side it was great. And then on the course side, as I said, I would really recommend it. You get the like really key knowledge. You have top professors in there. They have like good experience in top motorsports team. So this is something that is really really useful, and you can learn a lot from. And also the links that you have with the industry are great. And I think that in there you have apart from the classes, you later have to do a dissertation. Is the case of most of I think all of the MSCs. And because they have a lot of links with you with the industry, you could use this time or this dissertation to get a specific experience with that. So, for example, in my case, I had the chance to work on the like vehicle dynamic simulation with a motorbike, and we were two people working in the project, and we worked with a team in the British Superbikes competition. So yeah, we got data from the team, information that we needed. It was not just purely academic, let's say, but you were getting this real data. And we even got to go to Brands Hatch to see one of the trainings. It was great. They were just racing in the small version of the brand hatch, because I think there are two versions, like the longer one and the shortest one. And I remember I think that most of the circuits in the UK, that they are crazy, the hills, the up and downs that you have. So I remember like the bike, this British Superbike, it was a Kawasaki Ninja 1000 cc. And I remember like looking at the straight, and you could see the bike moving, and just the rider going all like full throttle. So it was a great experience. And yeah, really really liked a lot this studying at Oxford Brookes, and I think that was key for getting my career later.
No, sounds great, Javi, and I can reiterate that as well. So I did an MSc at Cranfield, and the international experience is great. Of course, it was in my home country, but most of the course were from all over the world. People in North America, from Asia, from Europe, and I think that international experience is definitely representative of motorsport itself. So being able to work alongside people from all different backgrounds is the perfect setup for the career. So talking about careers, that's your student life done. The first step was working with Bass Racing. So this is perhaps, let's say, something that not many people have done. You were the co-founder of Bass Racing and worked as a design engineer and race engineer. So this was your first role after graduating from UPC and then carried into your time at Oxford Brookes, I believe. So it's certainly an interesting one. Would you be able to tell us a little about how it came about and what your particular role was?
So bus racing in the end was a bit of a continuation of the motor student. So while doing the motor student, I think the team in total we were like 12 people, but we were four colleagues and in the end friends that we were really getting along. We enjoyed that experience a lot. And when we finished, we said, okay, what can we continue with this? Can we try to go like one level up? So we decided to make this team, BAS team. Actually, the four letters are our surnames, and that's where we got the name. And we said, okay, we're going to try to look for sponsorship and see if we are able to make it, because in the end it has some cost. So we managed to get the sponsorship to at least race 1 year in the Spanish Championship. So with that, we developed a bike in the pre-Moto3 category. So it's a category you have this racing bike that it has a 250cc engine, but it's not a prototype engine like you would have like in the MotoGP competition, but it's an engine from an actual bike in the market. So we developed this bike with most of the knowledge that we gained during the Moto Student competition. And yeah, we were racing in the Spanish Championship with our rider. He's called Xavi Maza, a Catalan rider. He was, I think, that 12 or 13 years old at that time, and it was an awesome experience, like going around or like whole Spain, and even we did one race in Portugal in Estoril, and just with the van, everything in there. We had to. Uh, you're asking me about the role. We were doing everything, like completely everything. We were my I was supposed to be more involved in, let's say, like analyzing data, developing the suspension, all this part, because it's the part also where what I like more, and that I have more experience in, or I had at the time too. But in the end, we were doing a bit of everything. We were the mechanics, we were even the psychologists of the rider, having to work on everything, and it was a great experience. But also it was like the first time we saw real life, let's say, because we faced lots of challenges during that time.
Yeah, no, super interesting. And again, I think it shows people that, motorsport isn't as far away as you think. If there's a will, there's a way. So this was four friends that, took some university experience and decided, is there any way we can continue doing this? And you did it. And how did that go? Was there any success in the racing when you entered the championship, or was it a bit of trial and error?
So we end up getting, I would call it success, because we end up getting, I think, points in two races. One of them was Estoril, and another one in, I don't remember which was the other racetrack. I think it was Jerez. So I would say it was quite a success, because this Spanish Championship is a really big deal in Spain. You have like riders from not even all around Spain, but all around the world that are coming to here to compete. You also have like brands that have more experience in developing this bike. So we were competing with a rider with not so much experience, and especially with like the four of us that didn't have so much experience in there. So yeah, I think it was a great success, but it was also like full of challenges, and yeah, we have great stories to tell.
I'm sure, I have no doubt. So you mentioned some challenges, and anything that stands out from your time?
Yeah, I think I would especially talk about two. So first one on the design side. So when we were doing, or we were developing the bike for the Moto Student, I would say that everything went quite smoothly. So we were thinking about what we were doing, but everything went really smooth, and this is great. But sometimes when this happens, you don't see the possible shortcomings, or you don't learn so much. So in say Moto Student, the weight of the bike was not so key. And but in here, when we were going to a Spice Championship, you had to like raise the level a bit, and you had to really look into detail in the weight. So we designed a swing arm that was like optimizing a lot the weight, and in the end, it turned out that we optimized it so much that it was bending, but we couldn't see it because the FEM model, the meshing, let's say, that we were using in the FEM model was not the appropriate one. And the worst part was that how we got to understand that it was happening, because we put the bike on track, okay, in the beginning, and going slowly, everything was going okay. But when the rider started to push, he was telling all the time, "This bike is not turning. This bike is not turning. Like for me, it's not. I'm not able to turn." We were doing massive changes of setup. Like I don't know how much we were changing the weight balance. It was not making any difference at all. And in the end, we found out that it was because of the swing arm that was bending. And he was deflecting, so it was like the wheel was trying to be still up. And yeah, this is how we learned. We redesigned the swing arm, and in the end that made a difference. But this was one of a big challenge. And there's another one also that was a bit related with the low budget side. So yeah, we got the sponsorship. We were doing the Spanish championship, but our budget was not that big. So we only had one set of rims. Okay. And we were, let's say, putting either wet or dry tires. In Spain is mostly dry tires. There's not so many races that you do in the wet. But we were in this race in Alcaraz, like to a 1.5 hour drive from Barcelona. And like 45 minutes before the race, it started to speed a little bit. Okay, it was not fully raining, but it started to speed a little bit. And then we were like, okay, we have to make a decision, because we cannot go to the grid and make the decision there. We have to take it before, because we have to buy the tires and go to change them. So we were talking with the rider, with the Dunlop people, and in the end they said, okay, I think that the track was not so wet. It rained a little bit, but it was okay. It was a little bit damp, but it was okay. And we said, okay, the best thing is to keep the dry tires. So we did so, and we went to the grid, and then I think the rider was starting like 10th or something like that, so quite a good position. They start to take out the warmers, and we were the only ones with dry tires. All the rest of the grid was with wet tires. Okay, so in terms of strategy, that was the correct strategy, because the track was damp. And there was a dry line, I think, in 1 or 2 laps already. So it was really, really quick that it dried out. The problem was that the rider in there is 12 years old. And you imagine you're being 12 years old, you see that all the people around you have the wet tires and you have the dry. So he started really bad. I think that first lap, he was the very last one. And then little by little, he recovered, but it was, yeah, it was too late. I think that these two experiences are like two of the challenges that we faced in there.
No, I love these stories with low budget setups, and I'm sure you never did this problem again or never had this problem again. Once you do it once, because it
Yeah.
invokes such an emotion, I'm sure that's the last time you do it. And I think that goes to show as well, when there's less of you, when there's less money available, you probably learn so much more,
Yeah.
especially early on in your career when perhaps you're not specializing or looking into the very details. You cover so much scope, and I think this is a brilliant way to learn.
Yeah, totally. As I said, in Motor Student, everything was okay. So we learned a lot, but there are some things that maybe you didn't know why it was working so good,
Yeah.
or why it was not working. And in here, you get the chance to learn more.
Awesome. So we continue with two wheels. Your first role after graduating from Oxford Brookes and sort of leveraging that internship experience, and also the thesis, as well as the BAS racing stuff and motor student before that. So you were definitely the ideal candidate for a team like KTM, and you were involved here on the road racing MotoGP projects. So you were a project engineer, Javi. This was your first company role within the industry. How did it come about, and how did you find the experience?
Yeah. So in the end, in there, I was finishing my or working on the dissertation during the summer of 2014, the year in Oxford. And then I saw this position opening in KTM Motorsport, for working on the road racing. I applied for it, and I think that my experience and like not only the studies in Oxford Brookes, but also the experience that I had with the motor student and also with BAS racing was key. So yeah, I decided to, in the end I got an offer. I decided to accept it, and I went and to live to Austria, to Munderfing, which is a small village like 30 minutes away from Salzburg, where KTM racing is located. And it was a great experience. It was a really awesome experience too, and especially thinking that it was the first experience that I was having on the professional side. So it was like a dream job already.
No, for sure. Of course, I can imagine. And you were at KTM for around 2 years. Can you tell us about what you got up to and what projects you were involved in?
Yeah, so I was working mainly on the chassis development team. So I started when I got there. I was doing, or I started a little bit with working on the Moto3 bike, so the smaller category bike with the 250cc engine. But then, short after that, like 2 or 3 months after that, they already started with the MotoGP project. And then I was really lucky to be developing the very first MotoGP that KTM was doing. And in there my role was more related with the design. So I was working on the design of chassis part, and I was focusing more on the front end, so things like the handlebar, triple clamps, and brake system, forks, all this kind of stuff. This is what I was working on, and it was basically building a bike from scratch. So because we had nothing, there was, yeah, KTM did a bike, but I don't know how many years ago, and we were not using that much of that information. It was just a bit of experience and let's say also people with more experience in the team, and we built that bike from, or designed that bike from scratch, which was an awesome experience, and I really learned a lot.
Yeah, and of course now you've built a couple of bikes from scratch.
Yeah.
This wasn't your first rodeo, so you're probably the prime person for it. So this was your first company experience. How did that sort of help lay the foundations for the career that followed? Obviously, working within a company is different to working within, say, a motor student team or a Formula student team. How would you say that set you up for the work that followed within slightly bigger companies?
Yeah, so I think it was a great experience and really helped me a lot to build up some foundations, like working also on a racing team. So you really have to have this focus on detail mentality. You know, like every single detail can be important to find some time in later when you're going to for the lap time. So you already start with this, like getting this mentality, and this really help a lot later. Also, this fast-paced environment like motorsport, and I think in general, automotive industry is an industry that is quite fast-paced. So most of the things have to be done for yesterday, and you have to do them fast, but at the same time put the level of detail that is needed, because an error in there can be later like something that is really having very bad effects. And also the communication skills. I think this is something that help a lot in there, and I said that this gave me a good foundation, because you have to think that I was in the factory, and this means that then you have the continuous communication with even the mechanics. I mean, I could just go one floor down, and they had in the workshop, they were the mechanics assembling and disassembling the bike, so you could get direct feedback, and you could then apply this to your design. So be able to, or be open to listen and learn from everyone. Also have the like the communication with the test team. All these, I think that all these say way to way of working helped a lot to set these foundations for later in my career.
Awesome. I'm sure. I have no doubt. So having next up Idiada, over 5 years there, a move away from motorsport and towards automotive, and perhaps a move away from two wheels and towards maybe more four-wheel projects.
Mhm.
So for those listening who perhaps haven't heard of Idiada, would you be able to explain a little bit about what they do? Because they do an awful lot, and I'm
Yeah.
sure very interesting projects.
Yeah, so IDIADA is in the end is an engineering partner to the automotive industry, and I would say there are three main branches. Let's say one is the testing itself. So there's a very big proving ground in Spain, close to Tarragona, like I would say like 1 hour drive from Barcelona, and I would say most of the OEMs in the world are going to test it at some point because of the weather, because of the facilities. So this proving ground is something that is IDIADA has, and you can either like rent the proving ground to do the test by yourself, or also you can let's say outsource the complete testing to IDIADA. So there's also this service that can be provided. It's a big part that is doing the homologation. So if you need some kind of homologation for going on the road, this is something also that IDIADA is doing. And also there's a part of engineering services that in the end are providing engineering services to, let's say, support companies during the complete development in the automotive industry. And in there, I was part of what's called the chassis development and vehicle dynamics simulation team. So in the end, what this team is doing, it provided, or it's part of this engineering services, and it's the using vehicle dynamics simulation tools to support this vehicle development.
Awesome. So, Javi, you held various positions at Idiada over the 5 years, working across different continents. Would you be able to tell us about your journey and what sort of projects you did get to work on, but also where they were?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so as you said before, I was in total like 5 years in IDIADA. I started as a project engineer. Okay, so in there, it's a part of the chassis development and vehicle dynamic simulation team. So our task was we were building models with these different softwares, also of different parts of the vehicle. It could be full vehicle or just a specific parts, or also some subsystems. And then we use this model to optimize the performance of the vehicle, to calculate loads, to be sure that the, let's say, the performance of the vehicle was going to be the one that is targeted, and to, let's say, select the specification of the different chassis parts like spring, dampers, or optimize hard points. So all these kind of things were the things that we're doing. And then also analyze the data, both coming from the testing and also from the simulation, to do this optimization. And we were doing this, so in the team we were doing this for OEMs and tier one suppliers from all over the world. So during this time as a project engineer, I got to work from projects from the US, from Germany, also some. I started to work on some Chinese projects. So yeah, this was a great start with as a project engineer during these first 2 years. And then after that, so we were doing lots of projects with China, but there was no local team in China, even if IDIADA had an office there. So then in 2019, and there was the position to move to China, to Shanghai, to be what is called the product coordinator of the chassis development and vehicle dynamic simulation team. So in the end, it was to deploy, let's say, a local team to work in the projects that are more related with the Chinese market. So yeah, I took the chance to, or let's say, I volunteered a bit to take this opportunity. So I was living in China for 2 years during 2019 and 2020. And then yeah, I was in there the product coordinator. So I was deploying the team, and it was an incredible experience. It was a great challenge because also we had to do a bit of everything. It was not only me like working on the projects directly, but I had to lead the projects, to give some guidance. I was also involved on the business development side. So it was a great challenge. And I would say that it was also a great success, because when I came back in 2020, there was a colleague that also went to keep on with the work, but we already had like a few engineers hired locally that were working in there, and we also had deals with OEMs, with Chinese OEMs, for some years. So it was a great experience and a great success. And then after these 2 years, so in 2020, also with some adventures with all the COVID situation in the middle, yeah, I decided to come back to Spain. And then I kept on being part of the same team, of the chassis development and vehicle dynamic simulation team, as a senior engineer. So now my role was more not just working, let's say, or as I was doing in the project engineer, but I was also leading, let's say, the activities. So I had to plan the activities and coordinate them. There were like I was working together with some colleagues that in there that they were the project engineers, so guiding a little bit what they had to do to optimize to get the results that we wanted, prepare the results to present them to the client. So yeah, it was really good. And also I got to be involved quite a lot with the driving simulator that is in IDIADA. So I was using the driving simulator also to develop these projects, to really be able to test like the prototype even before it was built. So yeah, 5 years in total in IDIADA, and a great amount of experience, and working in projects, from different kind of projects, from with people from all around the world.
No, it sounds amazing. And as you say, all around the world. And this has sort of been the theme that has run through everything from being a student through working in smaller teams to bigger teams, that international sort of culture, which is embedded within motorsport and automotive, which is awesome. And we touched on some things there. And what's apparent to me is that there's a lot of crossover between automotive and motorsport. You mentioned simulators, you mentioned, all the vehicle dynamic simulation tools. And these exist in both spaces. So I think what that says to people is that, there's different ways into motorsport, but there's also different ways out of motorsport.
Mm.
And I want to just hear your thoughts there on your experience working in Indiana compared to your time perhaps in the motorsport industry. What stands out in that sense?
So yeah, I consider myself a bit of a more that I have more experience in the automotive industry, because in the end, say, even if it's been quite a summary, I spent 5 years in IDIADA, like working in different projects. So I could see a lot on the automotive industry, and I could really have, I think, or feel these differences between motorsports and automotive. My feeling is that in motorsports, like when you're doing optimization and I'm talking about performance, there's one thing in mind, that is lap time. Okay, so in the end, you have this lap time in the mentality, and you have to do all the optimization work to get this lap time. And when you are talking, or you're working more on the automotive industry, you have the performance side, but you also have the comfort of the passengers. You have also the cost side of the things, that maybe the budgets in motorsport, except if you are like a bus racing, if you're in let's say a top motorsport team, this budget side is is not so short. So it's something that is not limiting you that much the design. So I would say that the targets are a bit different. I can tell you, for example, I remember when we were at KTM, I remember that for the first prototypes, the fuel tank was machined from an aluminum block, and this is something that I think is, even if you do a prototype in the automotive industry, this is something that you will never do. Of course, in motorsport later things are let's say are improved, and they are also optimized. But yeah, the targets are different. But my feeling, what I've seen, is that the knowledge that you need to work in both industries, and also the kind of tools that you use, are quite similar. So if you know, for example, how to use Adams to optimize hard points of a suspension, you can leverage this knowledge to do the design of a suspension for an SUV or for a Formula car. Okay, probably not. The targets are for sure going to be completely different, and maybe the level of detail that you put in the model is going to be different. But this knowledge that you need is very similar. So a bit in short, say targets are quite different between motorsports and automotive, but the key knowledge that you need and the tools that you need to use are similar, and these are things that you can, let's say, use in both industries.
Sure. And of course, and your understanding remains the same, and it's just about how you apply it.
Yeah,
So here, I think, which we'll talk about in a bit with your course, is that you teach the foundations of what can be applied to different contexts. And ultimately, it's the processes which are the important things, and your understanding of the topic, and then how you apply it depends on each case. And cases will
exactly.
vary
Yeah.
throughout someone's career. So, no, super interesting. So, finally, Javi, you recently started a new role, swapping rotating wheels for rotating blades. I think this is a great demonstration of how skills within motorsport and automotive can be transferred to seemingly unrelated markets. Tell us a little bit about your new role and this transfer of skills across different domains.
Yeah, so since February 2022, so almost 1 year ago, I'm working for General Electric, as part of their onshore wind department. And yeah, this was an opportunity that a bit, yeah, saw the opportunity, thought it was really interesting. Also, like renewable energies and new industry. They were looking for people with multi-body simulation experience, and I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. And with the interviews, with all the process, I felt really comfortable. I had a good feeling, and I decided to take the opportunity. So I'm now part of what is called the system modeling team. And what we're doing is we are building models of the turbine, is mainly using multi-body simulation tools. And then these models are used later for calculating loads, for doing an assessment of the stability of the machine. So yeah, it's so far I'm enjoying it a lot, and I have to say that it is. I'm surprised by the great complexity of the system, the level of detail that you need in the model. So we know that there are machines that are super big, but I couldn't imagine, or I wasn't imagining before joining, that you would really go into such detail to include such stiffnesses of such specific parts, so then that this could play a role in the end in the stability, for example, of the machine. So yeah, it's been great so far, and a bit also a bit of a demonstration that if you have the key concepts, no, and if you know how to use the tools, you can use it for different fields. I think that in here, my, like, you were asking also a bit of the transfer of skills across this domain. So I think that my understanding of the physics, because of working on the, like, modeling in this case it was cars, suspensions, or motorbikes during this time. Also the experience that I had with the data analysis, with, like, looking into detail of what's coming out of these simulations. I think this really helped me a lot in not just getting the work, but also being able to get say do a work and perform in the new company from the very beginning. And I think that still I'm learning a lot, because the tools that you're using, you're doing it in a different way. But I think the ramp up with the team is it's been great so far, and I'm really enjoying this new role.
Great. No, and I really like this move because I think it shows that whatever stage you're at in your career, you were a senior engineer at Idiada, there's always opportunities to pivot and carry on learning. And would you say that having worked at Idiada for so many years, I'm sure you were always learning all the time, but by changing in the way that you did it really sort of bring on a new kind of wave of information and knowledge and a whole new learning environment, let's say?
Yeah, totally. It was so I think that sometimes when you're focused just on one topic, for example, the automotive industry, you don't think more, like you're just focusing on that, and you maybe don't think about all the other applications of the things that you're doing, the knowledge that you're getting can be used for. And I think that this was a great example. I was not actually, there's some people in the team that are also coming from a previous experience in the automotive industry, because it's in an industry where the multi-body simulation is used a lot. And I didn't know that there could be this knowledge transfer and this use of the knowledge that you already have. So yeah, it has been great, and I'm happy that I took this decision and keep on learning and see where things go in the end.
That's great. And another thing that you touched on that transfers across both domains was the detailed-oriented nature, that detail-oriented mentality, the mindset from motorsport to turbines. And I think the difference here is that, of course, with turbines, you have huge wind farms with thousands of turbines. So every detail on one unit makes a lot of difference, because when you scale that across an entire area, that compound effect is massive. And in the same with the automotive industry, if you're making thousands of units of one type of car for large scale production, every detail on the prototype, on the individual unit, is then benefited across the entire range. And the savings, the gains you can make for the company is obviously huge.
Yeah, totally. I think that it doesn't matter what you're doing. This attention to detail is something that maybe motorsport is more famous, and people are putting it in, like, or using it more. But I think it's important across any job that you may have, and it can really make a difference.
So there you go, guys. It's the automotive knowledge and the motorsport knowledge can be transferred to different areas. And should you find yourself in a position where you think, oh, you know what, I'm keen for a new challenge, there could be so many different things you can do. So that's really great to hear. So I believe also, Javi, you've been lecturing back at UPC, where it all began. You've gone full circle, so to speak. How's that experience been?
As I said, when I was in the university, I was an intern in the mechanical engineering department, and I had great relationships with the professors at the time that they are still the professors, and we kept in touch. And I always showed them that I had an interest in teaching. So when shortly after I came back from China, there was this opening to teach mechanics as a part-time professor. They offered me, and I decided to take the challenge. I took it, and it has been great so far. As I've always liked teaching, and I have to say that it was tough in the beginning, the first semester, because I had to like restudy the whole subject to be able to explain it. But what I really like is that when you want to explain something to someone, you're not just taking an exam, but you have to really explain it. You have to understand it very good. And for me, mechanics, being a bit of a multi-body simulation engineer, is the very, very basics. So is a way of being sure that the basics are clear to you, and that you can use this later better, or you can have even a better understanding to apply later in the professional life. So that has been great. And also in terms of the communication skills, you have to think that you have to put yourself in front of a class, people that for me are like 10, 12 years younger than me. So it's like an audience that is quite demanding, and you have to work on the communication skills. Also, to be able to combine it with my job, I do the classes at 8 in the morning, so it's even like it adds a new layer of challenge, because you have to keep the students awake at that time in the morning. And so I'm enjoying it a lot, because it's this I can like get back to the basics, be sure that I have the basics really clear, and then work on the communication skills.
Awesome. And they do say that teaching is the best form of learning. So to dial in the basics and is always super useful. And what this is beginning to sound like to me is that, Javi, you are kind of the perfect person to be an instructor for the Motorsport Academy. And you've done the career, both automotive and motorsport, and now you're teaching as well. So that brings me on to my next talking point, which is Motorsport Engineer in the course. You've recently launched your new course within our Motorsports Academy. The course is all about vehicle dynamics, modeling, and simulation. Having just talked about all of your experience, there is no doubt that it will be filled with a huge amount of great content that I'm sure many people can benefit from. And those that are listening will definitely be able to say the same. Can you tell us a little bit about the course and what people can expect? Perhaps who is it for? Any required knowledge, and what are the main learning outcomes?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm super excited to launch this course. As you said, this vehicle dynamics modeling and simulation course. And what I've tried to put here are the key concepts for me, based a bit on my experience, both studying and on the professional side. And I've tried to do it in a way in which you see the full process. Okay, so we in the course you'll see the concept and which are the hypotheses that we're taking. We will get the equations of motion, going to the very basics of physics, and then we will end up building a model in MATLAB Simulink, and then using this model to get some data to do some analysis. So I think this is really great, and it's quite a differentiation, because it's not like you're just given a tool and you learn how to use the tool, but you learn how to build the tool. And this is something that I think is really useful later. We do this for the lateral dynamics, longitudinal dynamics, and vertical dynamics. So you also have like quite an overview, and it's something that then you can optimize quite a lot of performances of the vehicle. So before that, we were talking about differences between motorsports and automotive. So if you want to use these models for the motorsports application, you will know, okay, which are the hypotheses that you can take or that you may take, and then what is going to be your focus when you do the optimization. So all this is covered in the course a bit also. And there's lots of hands-on examples and experience. So you'll see myself, let's say, building the models from scratch. So starting from a blank Simulink model, putting all the blocks together based on the equations of motions that we have built. And with this, my idea is that you see how it's being done by someone else, and then also that you have the tools to do it by yourself. So in the end, later, if you want to do a model that is a bit more complex, or there's a hypothesis that you want to change, you can do it, and you have the knowledge to change this model. So my idea when I built this course also was that the outcome was to get the key knowledge, okay, that you need when talking about the vehicle dynamics simulation, and also understanding the process. So then you understand the process from the very beginning, and then you get the hands-on experience, and that you have your own models when you finish the course. So I think that this is an outcome that with the work that we put together, we have achieved. And so some other questions that you were asking, like who is it for? I think that this course like is quite done for the people that want to look for a vehicle dynamics simulation career in the motorsports industry or the automotive industry, because they get I was saying the key knowledge for that. But also if there's people that they want to expand the knowledge because they have some basic understanding, but maybe they want to dig a bit deeper, be able to build the models, or maybe even there are people that have other areas of expertise, but they want to have like a basic knowledge on the vehicle dynamic simulation side, because maybe later they want to have conversations at a higher level with people in the team. So I think that this course could be also great for them. And we've done it in a way. I've tried to do it in a way that the required knowledge is not so high. Say, so of course there are some basic engineering knowledge that you need. For example, you need to know what are Newton's second law. You need to know have a bit of an idea what is a body diagram. So how when you do a frequency analysis of a signal, you need to know also what is a differential equation. And what we have done, or what I have done also, is I've put an introduction, and just to be sure that there's an alignment between the different people, but because it could be that there's people with different backgrounds taking the course. And also there's so in this course we're using MATLAB Simulink to build the models. We are not going to a really let's say, you don't need a really high level of MATLAB Simulink, because we're just using some simple functions, and mainly we're using Simulink, so it's more connecting blocks. And also I'm the one that I'm saying which are the blocks that have to be used. But it's true that you need at least some basic knowledge. So you need to know a bit what is MATLAB Simulink, how to I don't know, how to create a simple script, how to create a parameter and put a value to this parameter. These are some simple things that you need to know. but probably MATLAB Simulink is a software that is used a lot, so you can find tutorials in lots of other platforms with short tutorials that you can use then to get this basic knowledge that you need later to take this motorsports course.
Awesome. And I can reiterate all of this, having seen the course myself and as someone who is very much into vehicle dynamics and modeling and simulation as well. I can say that from beginning to end, it has everything that you need to get going with this subject. And even more than that, get going, but to really be able to use the tools that you can develop for practical application. By the end of the course, you'll be able to develop tools that you can use for real problems. And I think that's the really great thing about the course here, is that you get that introduction, then you get the development process, but then also you show how these tools are actually useful and where they fit into different problems. So
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
things,
just one comment also that I think this is good, but the students that take it, they will have to expect that there's also work that they have to put behind, like to get all this knowledge. So it's not like just watching videos and saying, okay, this is what I have to do. And I think that you can extract a lot of the course if you really build the models, and then once the course is finished, you keep on working with the models, you keep on changing parameters, and I think this is one of the key things, no? And the great thing is that it's not only that you get I have this model now. It's like, okay, I know how to build this model and I know how to use it, and I keep on using it to understand what this difference is making in the performance of a vehicle, for example.
for sure, and that's something I can say from my shorter experience as well, is that in you can be taught by someone how something works, or you can be shown how something works, but until you get hands on and you start experimenting and using it yourself, that's when you really see the power of it, and that's when you really start to understand what's going on. So couldn't agree more there, Javi. I think another thing as well, a lot of our course instructors, what they say is that they wish they had the course they made at the beginning of their career. It would have saved them a lot of time and a lot of painful nights. Is that something you can say for this course?
Yeah, I'd say so, because in the end, so I've during my career also, for example, I have read different books from different like authors, in which all of them, they give like different perspective. There are some that are better for one thing, some others that are better for other things. And what I've tried to do here is like to summarize the most important things in this course and go specifically to the key points, so you don't have to go through all the other things that maybe are not so useful at this point, and you can start from something that has been already, let's say, pre-chosen for you. In the end, later, it's good also, like the more we read, the more that we keep on getting knowledge, the better. But to start, maybe so much information can be overwhelming, so having this focus like in just a single course with not so much time, let's say, and that you can also have videos that you can do when you have, let's say, when you have free time to do them. I think this is a great way to start and to get the knowledge that you need to build a career in this field.
Absolutely. And I think from my experience and learning vehicle dynamics and also the modeling side of things, is that there's nothing like this available anywhere else. And I mean that sincerely. Yes, you have the books. Yes, you can go to university and study the subjects, but to be able to watch someone doing live demonstrations of building out models, that's not something that I've seen in any environment that I've been in. So I think this is a super useful thing for so many people. And I'm really glad that we were able to bring it to people through Motorsport Engineer. So Javi, thank you very much from myself and from the people that I'm sure will benefit massively from the course.
Yeah, thank you. I hope they really like people that take this course. I hope they really enjoy it, because yeah, as you said, like I'm building the model, so I'm starting from a blank Simulink model, putting the blocks in there, explaining the process, the thinking behind, and I think that this is something quite unique, and that can be really helpful to learn how to use this, or how to do this vehicle modeling and simulation, how to put it, let's say, later in some applications that you need for your future.
So we're running out of time, but I would not want to finish without asking two questions. Number one, Javi, looking back at your career, what do you think the main factors or factor has been in reaching your career goals of working in motorsport automotive?
I would say that one of the key things is the passion. So to, let's say, to do something that you like. I think this is something that I really like. As I said, when you first asked me what are my origins from the beginning, it is something that I've liked. So to work in something that you really liked. I think this is key, and in my case, this has helped me in my career, because in the end you have to dedicate lots of hours to this, and when you have the passion and you like what you're doing, it's not going to be so tough, and you can put that amount of time and that amount of work. Also, think to be prepared for it, so to get the specific knowledge, like for example in my case, to start with engineering, then also get some experience with motor student and confirm that I really like it, and get to study at Oxford Brookes to get the specific knowledge for it. And yeah, so doing this kind of things, I think is something that has really helped me a lot. And also, as you were mentioning before, to pivot if it's necessary. So I think that as you are working, and maybe it's something in the beginning, there's something that you think that you like, you start working to get it, then you get it, and you see that, okay, maybe I prefer to work on this other thing. So it's not late to, let's say, to pivot and see how you can adapt the knowledge that you have to work in some other fields, or to change a bit your role. I think this is something that has helped me a lot. And I I think also for me, what has helped also to have this career is not only to, let's say, to use the tools that I'm given, but to own the tools that I'm given. So when you're working, you enter a company, and there's already a lot of people that have been putting work before you with lots of knowledge and with more experience than you, and probably you're given like some tools that can go from an spreadsheet to a MATLAB model to a like complex Adams model. And what I've done, and my recommendation also, that I think that is really helpful, is not to just use these tools, but to really understand them. So for example, with the spreadsheet, if you can make a version for yourself in which you really see which are all the inputs and all the outputs. I know you cannot do this for every model, because for example, from another Adams model, maybe you cannot start from scratch again. But to the extent that you can, to be able to analyze everything in detail and be sure that you are understanding it, that you're owning these tools. I think this is something that is really helpful, and has helped me a lot during my career.
No, brilliant, absolutely. And I think what you said there about, taking an active approach rather than a passive approach is going back to what we said about getting hands-on with the work that you're doing, because that's when you really start to learn. And of course, there's been some overlap with my second question, but it'll be interesting to hear your point nonetheless. What is your advice for a student or young professional who wants to start a career in motorsport?
That's a good question, actually. So I think the first thing is to identify what you would like to do. Nowadays, in all the industries, but especially in the automotive and motorsport industry, there are applications that are very concrete. For example, if you want to do the design of certain parts, or if you want to work on the simulation, or if you want to work on the aerodynamics. So to really identify what you like a bit by reading about it, trying. Yeah, but I think that to identify what you would like to do is the first step, and then to study and to get prepared for it. Doing certain courses, for example, I think the Motorsport Engineer is a great platform to do this kind of courses, to get this kind of knowledge, so you can differentiate a bit from the rest of the people, because you already have this knowledge. So you know that you can do good in an interview, and you can also go in a company with an initial level that is quite good. Then apply for opportunities when you see them, but also look for opportunities. So yeah, there are these like the vacancies that different teams, for example, in motorsport, that can have on their website, but also like talk to people that you may know in that field. So try to build your own opportunities a little bit. I think this is helpful. And then once you have this, and once you're in, because I think that if you have these points, there's just a matter of time until you get in the work that you like to have. Some people think, okay, that's it. And for me, when you get the job is when the real deal starts. Okay, it's like, okay, now I have to really work hard. I have to try to expand my knowledge, as I was saying a bit before, like own the knowledge, no, taking this active approach, and trying to have this attitude. I think this will help a lot, not to just keep the work, but to keep on growing and have a successful career. The last advice is to learn from everyone. So I think that you have to take a bit of a humble approach when you're working, like from the start. Listen to everyone, and try to get like positives and learnings from everyone. What you like, so like people that can, yeah, be something like an inspiration, something that you really like, something that you want to apply in the future, but also things that you don't like, you can learn this so you don't apply it for like in the future. And that would be my advice for people that want to get a career in motorsport.
Javi, I couldn't agree more. What you said there about learning what you don't like as well as what you do like is super important. I think often people are scared to, spend time doing something because they don't want to waste time. But honestly, it's never a waste of time. Finding out what you don't like is probably more important than finding out what you do like. But more so than that, you then have to, take the decision to stop what you don't like and try and refine and work towards what you do like as well. So we can see in your career that perhaps you did like all of these things, but you were never scared to, take a step towards a different direction. And I'm sure you've learned so much from that. And I think that's a really good point that people should take on board is don't be afraid to do something that you think there could be a chance that you don't like it, because until you find out, until you try, you won't know. And that's what this is all about. It's about trying different things. And I think you could probably agree that some of the things you like the most now are things that you would have never have anticipated before.
Totally. If you tell me 5 years ago that I would be working like developing wind turbines, I would say you're crazy. So yeah, totally. And I think it's important to also when you start a new job that it's supposed to be something that you really like, to be open and to also to some criticism, like to say, okay, I really like it or I don't really like it, and based on this, keep on building your career and find your path in there.
Javi, thank you so much for sharing all of that. That was absolutely brilliant. You've done so much from all the way from back at university, taking on all these projects, co-founding your own company, and then working with different companies, be it motorbikes, cars, or now wind turbines. And I think what's been great for me to hear, and I'm sure many other people, is those decisions that you took along the way that have sort of resulted in these pivots. Sometimes you can look at someone's career and you can see how they go from A to B to C, but you don't understand why and what caused those decisions. So being able to put the pieces together is, I think, really valuable for other people to look at who are at the beginning of their career. So thank you very much for sharing. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the talk. I hope that people also like my story, and also that they enjoy the course if they take it. And I also want to congratulate you for the work that you're doing with Motorsport Engineer. I think it's a great platform where you can really find courses that are super useful for getting a career into the motorsport.
Thank you very much, Happy. And that brings us to the end of the Motorsport Talks podcast. Remember that you'll find courses and webinars from Javi and many other industry professionals within the academy at motorsportengineer.net. So stay tuned for more interviews with motorsport professionals. Until then, take care and bye for now.